Welcome back. The Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Thoko Didiza, is announcing interventions to support subsistence producers through the Presidential Employment Stimulus Initiative. The Presidential Employment Stimulus aims to create and sustain employment in the agricultural sector. Let's take you there live now.
Funding. And usually when you look at the average sizes of maize planting as an example, per hectare, they would be ranging between 8,000 and 11,000, depending on which province you are having that. And then the other issue that you asked, say, in terms of the challenges faced by the subsistence producers, especially in this pandemic that we had in this year, which is 2020, mostly it was around food prices, which would have escalated exorbitantly if Minister had not also intervened there, in terms of making sure that we work with the sector to ensure that we monitor prices more frequently than we usually do. We usually monitor those food prices on a monthly basis, and we release monthly releases, and then by this time we brought those closer to a weekly and even lesser. So I would want to stop there, but basically those food prices affect their affordability as well as the food that is then becoming available to them. So they have been actually the most hard hit. I think that is why Minister is targeting them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. TK, do you have anything? Not yet. Okay, there's a follow-up from Sipho. Yes, you can go ahead, sir.
All right, Dr. Again. So how is it to measure operation when most of these producers working in the informal sector? So what are you looking for? What is the criteria basically that you're going to be using to choose who gets this assistance of between 1,000 to 9,000 rand? Or what are you going to be looking at? What are the aspects?
Ticket.
All right, thank you. In terms of the criteria, the first part of the application is to apply online so that you can get a reference number. In this application, it's a USSD code, and you follow the code, and you then indicate what type of support you are looking for. The support is divided into fruit and vegetables, which is under a hectare. Then there's the poultry units, which you can choose from. There's either layers or broilers. Layers being 40 birds, and broilers being 100 birds as the maximum limit. Then we have small stock. Small stock you would be where you have less than 25 units, and then for the large stock you would have less than 5 large stock units. And within those packages you can then there's an award for the different types of packages. How the criteria works is, one, we're obviously looking at, as the Minister indicated earlier, we look at your at the nationality, your age. We will look at whether you're working for government or not. We obviously don't want government employees to apply. And then we will also move into Section B, which is where we will start prioritizing women, youth and people with disabilities. So there's a scoring system. It is available in detail in the detailed advert. That will all be done electronically as the application happens. The question that you were posing is, how do we verify then that this is actually a person that is producing? And that brings us to the third part of the criteria, and that would be a physical visit by an agricultural graduate, a NARISEC youth, or a member of the department, and working with food security officers and extension officers. We will visit every individual that is successful, that has met the criteria for sections A and B, and we will visit them at their houses to collect a geolocation of where that person is. We will also collect any identity documentation that is required. We will also verify all your medical disability. We will also look at your military veteran status when we visit you on site physically. The application that we use is on a smartphone. Obviously, the applicant does not need a smartphone to make the application, but all the verifiers will have a smartphone, and we will capture this information via an application. We will take photos of the production and the size and the scale of that. At this stage, that's the best we can do. We have very limited time to execute this, as all the funding must be spent by the 31st of March 2021. So it will be a busy program, but that is generally how each applicant will then be dealt with through the process. Thank you.
Thanks, Clinton. Okay, let's check other SIPO. I'm sure we've got something on WhatsApp, and then because you are here, we can be able to get you. TK?
Thanks. The first we are asking if they can have the name of the panelists and their positions thereof. But as for the questions, we have Jolene here. The first question was answered. It was on the selection criteria. And the second one, the question says, have the department sorted out the checks and balances of the service provider? Thanks.
Okay, it's only Jolene there. Okay. Now we'll repeat the names of the panelists, but let's respond to this one. Oh, can I take SIPO before we SIPO? Can you get your follow-up?
Yeah, just my follow-up. I think I would like the Minister also to respond to this. And the question is, do you think that this figure of between 1,000 and 9,000 that you operate in this small farmers is adequate, considering that you mentioned that your department was hit by COVID-19? So, from your point of view as the Minister of Agriculture, do you think this figure that you're offering is adequate? And also, the applications seem to be based online. Are you not excluding some potential people that will be getting help here by simply making it an online application process? Why don't we have local offices that people can visit where they can make this application and get further information on this? I know that we are talking we are in the industrial age, but some of these places are very rural and don't have great access to the internet. So why are we limiting it to online? We may possibly include people. Thank you.
I hope people are not trying to undermine our farmers. They are very, 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 very up to standard. So they have cell phones.
Thank you very much. The first question from WhatsApp was whether we've tested the system. Yes, we have, working with Vodacom. We've done also the test during this weekend, so we are sure that it is working, and it will be operational as of the 10th, which is Thursday this week. The names again, at the center there, it's Mr. Mweketsi Ramasodi, who's our current Acting Director General. On his left is Dr. Mweng, who's acting DDG, and she's responsible for food security in the department. And we've got Clinton Heyman, who's in the department responsible within the unit of rural development. So Reggie, who's the media liaison officer in the office of the ministry, and the minister. I'm sure the people who wanted to get the names are good. SIPO. There's another question?
The expression of interest, supplier.
The suppliers, we actually have gone already out in terms of our adverts for those suppliers who will be willing to participate in this program as input suppliers. So that has already been done. So we will be looking at whether they are complying in terms of the tax status and all other requirements. Are they in the supply chain of government? So we would look at all of those things to be able to sift those qualifying suppliers, but also their reach in terms of the country whether they are only in one province or are they in all provinces. So we'd look at all of that in terms of applicability for them to be able to participate in the program. You've raised the issue about the amount that we're offering, whether in the view of the Minister of Agriculture that is adequate. Dr. Mweng explained that even on our program such as Fetsa Tlala, which is our food security program, which we actually work with the provinces as part of the division of revenue that comes from the National Treasury responsible for that program, the range and the size in which these producers who are household and back garden, producers, in large measure, this package fit within what they usually need. Some actually go for as small as 2,000 rand for them to be able to produce. So I am comfortable that it will reach a number of people. But remember that in April, we again made an announcement to assist small-scale farmers who actually were having an income out of their production of 20,000 to 1 million rand. And we did cover a number of people. And to answer the other question you raised earlier, actually even through the COVID intervention, we had our officials going physically to check the site, and we used our mapping system. Remember that your geomaps are actually done by the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, as well as your Surveying General. So we use those maps to also geolocate where exactly the farmers that we're supporting through COVID are. So we do have that capacity to do so. That's why we've also said we will, in addition to our own capacity internally as a department and our provincial departments of agriculture, we will again employ about 6,000 young people who, some of them are people that we've trained through the youth program of the department known as NARISEC, and also unemployed graduates. So we will use all of those capacities to be able to visit the applicants who would have applied. So I'm confident that we'll be able to do so. But the ongoing programs of the department in supporting generally farmers continues to happen. This is really about addressing the most vulnerable to make sure that they don't leave those operations and end up in the cities and the informal settlements because they've got nothing to eke a living on. If you look at what the president said in his statement in October, he actually said, apart from the economic recovery interventions, we're also going to look at mass employment intervention to make sure that we capture people who are unemployed in a particular program that government would actually work with together with our partners in NEDLEC, for instance, which is business, private sector, business, labor, and communities. But at the same time, we want to retain jobs. And as I've indicated in my statement, somebody who's working that land, majority of those people actually, I will say almost all of them, are not employed elsewhere. So that's part of their employment. And we want to retain them there so that they continue to be active and support their families and actually ensure that the basic level of food security is attained and we're able to deal with issues of insecurity at a household level when it comes to food. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before we check with you, TK, I just want to confirm, just to add what Minister has said. For suppliers to express the interest, the applications went out on the 4th, they are closing on the 17th of December. So that information is clear to them as well. TK, do you have anything? There's nothing. I think Minister was very clear. In the absence of question, colleagues, thank you very much. We've also sent the names of the panelists through to GIS. It will be shared with the colleagues as well. So those who could not capture while the Minister was mentioning them. In that light, colleagues, thank you very much for your time. Till we meet again on Thursday. Thank you.
There you have it, the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Thoko Didiza, announcing interventions to support subsistence producers through the Presidential Employment Stimulus Initiative. The initiative aims to create and sustain employment in the agricultural sector.